Oh my word, I've got to share this simple little drill with you that's absolutely killing it with my students. So I've been using it for a while now, but I'm starting to see nearly every student that comes through. I had a guy just literally earlier today who increased their yardage by 20 yards, and I'm seeing increases from each golfer that does this. If you want to start striking your irons better, increasing your club head speed without feel like you're actually swinging faster and out of control, simply using the forces that you put through the ground already, but in a way that get them out onto the ball rather than afterwards, this drill is going to totally blow your mind. So I'm going to show you this drill. It's very subtle, so I'm going to show you up close. Then I'm going to show you what it does. And then lastly, I'm going to show you how you can integrate it into your round to make sure that, and this is the problem with drills, sometimes they're so abstract, golfers then struggle to take them to the course and get any benefit from them. So let's talk about what this drill is going to do. This drill is basically going to stop a very horrible pattern that we see from amateur golfers in the way that they push in the ground and in turn how they use the club. Where they tend to, let's say they start with their pressure on their feet relatively even, then as they take the club back, they stay a little bit even, and then they start to just move all their pressure over onto their trail foot. So we get loads of golfers where they're like 70, 80, 90, even 100% of pressure on their trail foot at the top of the backswing. Now I know lots of you are saying, yeah, but that's good, isn't it? You're meant to get your pressure or your weight shifting onto the right and back onto the left. Well, you are and you're not. So the reoccurring pattern that we see with strong players, apart from where they start from being slightly different, they start more this foot to push this way, but let's just establish as soon as they start swinging their club, what they tend to do is they move their pressure onto their trail foot. So for me, for instance, I'm like 70 to 90% on my trail foot at this point of my swing, and then as I start to turn and get the club above my head, I start to recenter my pressures. So they're quite even at the top of my backswing. Then as I start my downswing, there's this bump onto the left as I rotate as well. And then I get out of my lead foot to try and get my energies. And for me, my jump, my vertical force is strong, torque and any horizontal force. Basically, I get the force that I create in the ground out in time to hit the ball, to get max energy, so I don't have to feel like I'm swiping crazy madman hard. The average golfer watching this, you're not doing this. You're moving 70, 80, 90% of pressure onto your trail side at top of the backswing. As soon as you start down, you just haven't got time to get that across, down into the ground and out to hit the ball. So what we see, and this is an extreme example, is people creating energy kind of around here after the ball's gone. The club almost just falls onto the ball. Where what we see from the world-class players is these kind of jumps and twists and turns. So how can you get that? Well, simple if you start using this simple, tiny little drill. You're going to do this lead foot shuffle, and you're going to try and time the shuffle really nicely at the end of your backswing before your downswing starts. I'm going to put the camera in close in a second, but see if you can pick it up at the start. I'm going to set up to the ball. I'm going to make my normal backswing, but when I get around here, going to finish the top of my backswing, I'm going to feel like my lead foot moves forward, let's say an inch. And forward, I don't mean forward, I mean forward this way towards the ball. See if you can spot it. It's really subtle. You might spot the jump back as I hit the ball. That's me getting out of my vertical force, which also helps me increase torque force and set my horizontal, so my hip set way earlier, all equating to brilliant ball then turf strikes. Come on, come down here. You'll see it closer. Look. So lead foot. Did you see that? It was a tiny step to then come out. It's like really subtle. So it's a tiny move forward and it's timed at an appropriate time. So I'm not going up to the top of my backswing and starting it. I'm trying to do it as I complete my backswing. So in your mind, anywhere, you don't have to be exact, but anywhere between kind of here and the top, you want to start taking that step. And what's happening, like I am ripping these, is it's allowing me as I get to the top of my backswing, even if I'm someone who wants to put way too much pressure and leave it there at the top of my backswing, that little step forward just allows me to set back laterally back onto that lead side. It loads up that lead foot in time now for the very fast downswing, the downswing that happens in seconds, for me to then get out of that lead foot. Where the order for lots of amateurs watching this, which is why you struggle to strike it, you often hit slices, you struggle to hit your drive at a distance you want to hit it. It's because you're almost going back, hit, and then as you get here, you then step and jump. Well, the ball's gone. It's not timed, it's not helping, it's not in time. So this tiny little step forward, and it is like an inch, it's minuscule, it's going to change the order that you use the ground, which will change the order in how you deliver the club. And it'll change the order in how you hit the ball, then the turf, into a much more positive way. Oh, like it's cheating. It's totally cheating. So this is a drill. You can use this to feel this action of trying to get your pressure recentered and trying to get your pressure to go forwards, trying to push into the ground earlier to get out. It's great. It triggers people's minds into using their hips and their feet, how they push and kind of jump and react with the ground completely differently. Rather than they've been so focused kind of on this before, they start doing this and they start striking it as a result of this, and they start thinking, I don't have to think about this. But taking that to the course, when the ground is now uneven, there's weather, there's obstacles, you probably don't want to be doing this little step. It's going to feel too wild. Even though on a controlled situation like here in the studio, you'll think, why didn't I just play like that? And to be fair, I don't mind if you hit balls like that, but you are going to find when the ground isn't as easy as this is such an easy environment, when you take it outside, ball below, above your feet, that's going to feel too hard to incorporate. So how could you incorporate this into your swing? Blend the drill with your everyday game. Otherwise you get that comment of, you know, I'm great on the range, but I struggle out on the course. So that's often because you're not blending your practice to be realistic enough. Your practice is too abstract, and then it just doesn't relate to what happens when you get out there on the course. So how can you work this into your swing? First thing you could try and do is have some lead foot lift. So let the heel come up on backswing, and as you get to the top of your backswing, feel like you're slamming it down. So heel up, and slam it down before you complete your backswing. Again, you see the foot jumping back. So the order of this is, again, as soon as I get kind of around here going up, the heel's up. As that club starts going anywhere up towards trail shoulder, I'm going to just bang it back down. I'm reconnecting with the ground to get into the ground to get out of it, which has to be one of the most, interesting parts of measuring, which I love doing, is it starts showing you how early people need to think to influence certainly a downswing and impact position. Trying to do things on the way down, for most people it's way too late. If you can get the order on the way back in a place where they're starting to already try and achieve their impact position as they get on the backswing, or certainly get into a position to achieve their impact position, you start actually shifting the needle. And this is something you saw world-class players do for years. Jack Nicklaus, lead foot up, slamming it down at a certain time. So again, you're going to start peeling that heel up quite early as you start your swing. This will shift pressure this way. As soon as that club starts going up anywhere near head, you're going to start whacking it down. That will just bump you back towards target. Also down into the ground, you get this kind of crunch and then bang back out of it. That's where your energy is going to come more onto the ball rather than hit, jump too late, which is so common. Other way you could do it as well is start really connecting with the heels and the toes of your feet. So just stand here at address and go up onto your toes, and then bring your toes up so you're up on your heels, and feel your feet in the ground. Like completely identify where they are. Because if lifting lead heel is kind of making you feel a bit uncomfortable, doesn't feel very nice, makes you maybe stand up, which it does for some golfers. What we're going to do is the kind of same ideas but without lifting our heels, now just feeling toes and heels. You can even do it now without lifting your feet. So I can feel my heel pushing down, I can feel balls, toes pushing down. So I'm just really subtly moving. What I'm going to do is feel like the pressure's in the middle of my feet. So here, not toes, not heels, as I start my backswing. And then again, as soon as I get around halfway back with the club, I'm going to start really connecting the lead toe into the ground. So I'm going to feel natural pressure shift onto trail, really now starting to connect with a toe into the ground. Like I'm absolutely trying to squish it. Like if my finger was under there, I would be crying. It would be like, get off my finger. I'm really starting to connect with that ground through the toes and the balls of my feet. But only once you've got your initial takeaway done, take the club back, start connecting with the ground, and then you'll find that you push out of the ground much better as well. So you can do it subtly, like where you're not lifting heels. Lots of golfers, the real trigger is that heel up, slamming it down. It's so easy for them to lock on to that feeling. Locking onto that feeling unleashes so much better potential in strike and distance. Like I say, players are improving their distance. Now you can do these ideas with the driver as well. And if you want to find out a bit more in depth of how to move it with the driver, this video is really going to help you.